It has been so long since I've made a video like this. It feels like I'm doing it for the first time. But let's go have some fun and see how it goes. That sure never gets old. Hi, I'm Chad and welcome to my last motovlog of 2023. It's been quite a long time since I made a motovlog at all, and again feels kind of strange to be doing it. Feels a little unfamiliar, but I'm sure we'll get through that as the video progresses. But in today's video, I wanted to talk about a couple things. First, figured given the time of year, it might be fun to do a little year in review or a recap of my 2023. It's been good and it's been bad. It's had its challenges for sure, but there has been a lot of good that has come of it as well. So I'll talk through a little bit of those things as well as how my motorcycle racing went for the year. And then once we wrap that up, I'm going to talk about what my 2024 is going to look like. And I'm sorry to say, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of YouTube for me in 2024. And if you've been keeping up with me on Instagram or have been watching my YouTube videos, if you're a subscriber especially, thank you very much. Really appreciate all your guys' support over the year, especially through all of its trials and tribulations as far as racing has gone and injuries. But if you have been paying attention to what I have posted, you probably know what's coming. So, let's get started. Now, my year started off pretty strong. Back in January, the weekend of my 30th birthday, believe it or not, I went to Chuckwalla Valley Raceway for round 4 of CVMA's 2022-23 Winter Series, and I ran my 2012 Triumph Daytona 675R in all 4 of the amateur middleweight races it was eligible for. Oh boy, construction. This is different every time I come through here now. Probably because I don't come through here very often or haven't been lately. But anyways, entered all 4 of the amateur middleweight races, Formula and Super Sport middleweight, that my Daytona 675R was eligible for. Of those 4 races, I won 3. So, pretty awesome way to kick off the year, I would say. Especially after having not the best end to my racing in 2022. Certainly far better than expert racing went for me this year, but nevertheless, could have been a little bit better. So with that incredible weekend, I decided it was finally time for me to move up to expert ahead of first round of CRA's 2023 season, California Road Race Association. And also, if you're new here, CVMA, Chuckwalla Valley Motorcycle Association. Both of these are club racing series for motorcycles that run in Southern California, which is where I am. So ahead of that first expert round in February, I made the decision to purchase a new bike, knowing that my 2012 Daytona 675R was definitely a bit underpowered, considerably underpowered if I'm being honest, as opposed to the rest of the grid that I had been racing against. And I figured it would be good to give myself every advantage possible. So with that, I bought a 2013 Triumph Daytona 675R that had an exhaust system and a tune and was basically race ready out of the box. Sans a few parts that I wanted to put on it for my own ergonomic comfort and whatnot. These included a zero-gravity Corsa windscreen, a Brembo 19 RCS master cylinder, and attack performance rear sets. But the bike was absolutely gorgeous, had a stunning paint job. So with those new parts and about 2 weeks to prep the bike from buying to racing, I made it out to Buttonwillow for CRA's first round and had a great time on Friday and Saturday. The bike was noticeably, very noticeably faster than my 2012. Figure it's making at least 10 or 15 more horsepower at the wheel, possibly even 20. It is that big of a difference. Bike's got the same gearing, down 1 up 2 or 1549 520 conversion. And then of course the 2013 is just a better engine overall. It's designed to rev a little bit higher, it makes a little bit more top end, even more race than the 2012 and prior. So again, those first 2 days went pretty well. The only complaint that I had with the bike was the front end was way too soft, and that was because I did not have an opportunity to swap out the springs. I'm a heavier guy at 230 to 240 pounds depending on the day and depending on what I ate. The bike had the stock 0.85 square kilogram per millimeter springs in the forks, which were quite too soft for me, and I was able to ride around it. We were able to turn up the preload and get the bike working okay, well enough. I was doing 56s, and I went out and raced. Unfortunately, my first race of the weekend, Sunday morning, I had entered 2 races that weekend. First weekend as an expert. Starting lap 2, guy basically parked it in turn 1, and I was coming from so far back I had no idea how fast he was going, and unfortunately when I realized it was basically too late, he was already cutting it on the racing line, and I think back on the gas actually, not even braking, all of like 10 degrees of lean angle. And the last moment when I realized that I was coming in hot, he was at a crawl, tried to avoid him, clipped him, got lobbed up in the air, the bike cartwheeled. It was painful, but I got up and was okay. Bike not so much. And that was how I started off my expert career. I dropped the bike all wadded up with my friends at Lap Motorsports in Lake Forest. David, Jimmy, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all the help you've given me this year. And they got the bike all straightened out. Took it to Dr. John's frame and alignment for me. The frame was bent, the forks were bent, the triple clamps were bent, the rear wheel was bent, and the front wheel was extremely bent, and one of the spokes was broken. So front wheel was trash, but everything else was repairable. So they got it all straightened out, got the bike running again because it didn't want to start, I think because the tip over sensor was tripped or something like that, but they got it all sorted out. I got the bike back just in time to make CRA's second round at Podium Club in Arizona. So picked the bike up and drove to Arizona the next day. First day went pretty well, had a good time at practice, and I mean, Podium Club is an amazing track. The track itself is really great. It'll be awesome once they actually have amenities like restrooms and things, but the track itself is fantastic and an absolute hoot to ride. So Friday was a great time, had a lot of fun. Major thanks to my friend Sean and other friends Brandon and Lindsay for hanging out for the weekend, giving me a place to crash. I think we all had a great time until Saturday afternoon. Went out, had practice qualifying, was helping out with what I could in the pits throughout the rest of the day. I was the last race of the day on Saturday for my first race. I'd signed up for 3. There were 3 expert middleweight races that weekend. Following my untimely demise at Buttonwillow in February, the only goal that I had set for myself going to round 2 of CRA was to finish an expert race. And after 7.5 laps, I completely forgot about that, got red mist once I was passed by someone, and just wanted to fight until the bitter end. Now, unfortunately, this caused me to put myself in a really bad situation where the guy I was battling with did something I wasn't expecting him to do, and I was too close to him and didn't give myself the buffer that I would have needed to check up or really make a correction. So realized he was braking further than I had planned to brake, and I had just gone to crack on the gas to try to be as close to him as possible going onto the long front straightaway so that I could try and get a draft and hopefully catch him at the line. But instead I found myself on his rear tire. Tried to stand the bike up and go for the brakes, but didn't have the time or the space for it. Luckily he didn't go down, I'm really happy about that, but I got absolutely lobbed, destroyed my left collarbone, and ended up having surgery to have it repaired. I have now had a titanium plate and 9 screws reinforcing my collarbone since early May. So what is that, like 7 months, I think? Yeah. After that, the surgery, I had a pretty quick recovery actually. After about 4 weeks from the surgery, I was doing most of my normal things again, and then about 8 weeks after, I got back on a bike for the first time. This bike. Just putted around town. Definitely didn't do a wheelie or multiple wheelies. But I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a little bit of anxiety in coming back to motorcycles after a get off like that, which has undoubtedly been my worst thus far, and hopefully it will be my worst ever. It took me a little bit longer to get back to the racetrack, but in that time I just kept my head down on work and tried to make sure that I could have the best year possible. Got the interesting news in July that I was going to need to relocate because of a company-wide return to office initiative, and my options were Seattle, Washington, Austin, Texas, and Arlington, Virginia. And didn't really have a whole lot of knowledge as far as timelines or expectations on when, but I had that in the back of my head as well. So after a couple more months against the grindstone, I finally went back to the racetrack for the first time since the CRA Round 2 crash at Podium Club. And I coached with my friend Fernando's new company, Velocity Track Days. It was a lot of fun. I rode in the C and B groups and just gave advice, tips, tricks, tried to show people lines, and I think it helped people to have a better day. I really hope so. Also rode an A group event, which was fun. I'd never been to Streets of Willow, which was where this event took place. And yeah, I had a great time. That was on the Tuono, and I'll link that video up above if you haven't checked it out yet and feel so inclined. And then 2 weeks after that, back with the Tuono again, went to Chuckwalla. First time at Chuckwalla since winning those races back in January as an amateur motorcycle racer. After that, tried to squander up the motivation to put the race bike back together. The damage honestly wasn't that bad. I was looking at a small bend in the front wheel, and the bike wouldn't start because the clutch safety switch had exploded. And oh yeah, and my shift lever was bent. The foot peg and foot peg holder on my attack resets broke off, so I had to get the replacement parts for those and a new set of clip-ons, but outside of that, pretty easy to fix. There's also a little bit of minor bodywork damage. My tail fairing had a couple of holes in it, as did the side fairing. I ended up reinforcing and patching the tail section. The side fairing wasn't really that bad, and there was a frame slider bracket underneath it, so I just figured, why make more work for myself? And with that, set my sights on the goal of completing an expert race before the end of the year with CVMA. Whee! Well, for one more track day on December 1st, again aboard the Tuono, because I was not able to get my Daytona sorted out in time for that. Ran into some suspension issues and a leaky fork seal when putting the bike back together after getting the forks checked for straightness. They were indeed straight and true. Back to reality. Ooh, just in time for an amazing sunset. Quick pick for the gram, how about it? That's better. That is a hot motorcycle. Sheesh. Anyways, had a great time with my friends at that track day. back in December. So a lot of fun, and was able to just get my 2013 Triumph Daytona 675R back together in time for CVMA round 3 2023 to 2024. CVMA does a winter series since it's at Chuckwalla in the middle of the desert and it's too hot to do motorcycles safely in the summer. So they run in the winter, starting in October and going through April. So made it out to CVMA for a short weekend, but I did complete an expert race finally. Started 22nd and finished 23rd. Not the best results, but CVMA is extremely competitive. Over 40 people registered to race and qualified, so you know, I'll take it. And I mean, I did it. I finished an expert race, so felt great. It definitely feels like a weight has been lifted off of my shoulders, and feels like 2024 is going to be better. So big shout out to my friends for making that an awesome experience and welcoming me back with open arms. But yeah, we had a blast. It was a good time and a great way to conclude my racing in 2023. So after that, I rounded out the year with a lovely holiday series of celebrations with the family. That's about it for me. So 2024 is going to be quite interesting because I am moving to Seattle. In fact, I'm moving to Seattle in about a month. So still kind of figuring out things as we go as far as that goes. Not planning to immediately bring motorcycles or my car or my van or a whole lot of anything up there with me. Gonna get a small apartment that's within walking distance of my office, get settled and situated, and go from there. But should be traveling back and forth here and there over the coming few months. Would love to try to squeeze in a race weekend if possible. Not going to put too much pressure on it because my life is just going to be so busy and involve so much traveling, and just so much is so uncertain over these next couple months that yeah. Ooh, 6 Supra. But yeah, huge shout out to all of my friends. You guys have really made my year amazing despite the hardships. And huge shout out to my family and to my lovely girlfriend Hillary for supporting me through all of this craziness, especially the collarbone break and recovery. That was a tough one for a bit there, but we kept in good spirits and got through it. So I can't say when my next YouTube video will come out or how frequently I'll be posting on YouTube going forward. But if you're new to the channel and you haven't already watched all of the videos that I've produced over the past few years, I documented my entire club motorcycle racing experience, going from doing just track days and prepping for the new racer school in my first weekend all the way up to becoming an expert racer. In that span of time, I won 6 races, I think, finished on the podium 13 times, including those 6 wins, and won an amateur club championship. So I'll put a card up above, link to the playlist with all those videos for you to check out. With that, I think my battery's about to die, so I'm gonna wrap this one up. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, I would sincerely appreciate a gentle little click of the like button, and if you considered subscribing for more motorcycling content like this, and drop a comment below. How was your 2023? Is there anything particularly exciting for you going on in 2024? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll hope to catch you in the next one. Until then, we're in virtual reality real quick for a wheelie. Good way to close it out in virtual reality. Until the next one, later.